Hello everybody and welcome back. Thank you for coming back. Ah. Hello everybody and welcome back to SPF Sunday. Now today we're going to be talking about HydroPeptide's Solar Defense. Let me see, Solar Defense Non-Tinted Sunscreen SPF50. I've been wearing this now for about 10 days and I did a 3-day test where I documented exactly what I felt or what I saw while I was using this. And let's just go into some of the claims that the product has. It is a physical mineral sunscreen that has 3% titanium dioxide and 7% zinc oxide. Now that seems to be a little bit low compared to some other zinc oxides and titanium dioxide. But from what I understand, if there's really no way to know anything else other than what they tell you. So if they say it's 50 SPF, we got to go with that. They're saying it's 50 SPF. This is not water resistant. You're going to be swimming all the time, or if you're going to be sweating, this is going to run off. It's scent free, but it's not really fragrance free. They don't add fragrance specifically in it, but it does have fragrance because of some of the botanicals that are in here, and those always smell wonderful. The scent in it is actually, it smells kind of, I don't know, like it dries down and it just kind of smells clinical. No other way to say it. It's not really bad, and it didn't bother me during the days that I used it. It's one of those things you put on your skin, it goes away. You don't really think about the scent anymore. At least I didn't. And it is not tinted. This costs $48 for 50 mLs, which comes out to 96 cents per ml. That to me is pretty expensive. Now this is an American brand. So it is definitely sold in the United States. I was able to get this here in Europe, so it's not impossible to get. I got it on Amazon. And now what the brand claims is that it's good for all skin types, weightless hydration, botanical antioxidants, which I assume is a green tea in there. And it has a sheer matte finish. That it does. The positive reviews that I read online were pretty much to be expected. Feels comfortable on skin, nice under makeup, good on fair skin. Well, I think most titanium dioxides and zinc oxides are better on fair skin unless it has some sort of tint. But there we go. And that it has a good, nice package. And that's probably because it has this really nice pump that just pumps out really thinly and smoothly. So I will give it that. It does have a very nice packaging. The negativity was that it was heavy on the skin. Some people got breakouts and clogged pores. It requires work to rub in, a very white cast if reapplied, and it needs to be removed and reapplied if you don't want that really white cast. And this is if you're not wearing foundation on. And also the negative was the price point. $48 is a little bit high for a sunscreen, in my opinion also. Now, as far as acne goes, there were a few people that did complain about getting some breakouts and having some clogged pores. I also found that to happen to me. So I looked it up, and there is an ingredient in here, the ethyl hexyl palmitate, which has the bad comedone rating of 4, which out of 5 is quite high. So I'm sure that's where that comes from. However, it does have some really great moisturizing benefits in here. Soothing, healing, moisturizing products. It has some green tea antioxidants and 8 ingredients for dry skin. And it has a lot of great ingredients for dry skin. So it did actually feel very hydrating while I was using it. Now, some fun facts. It is not coral safe. Most anything that has zinc oxide and titanium dioxide is not going to be considered coral safe. So just keep that in mind if that's an issue for you. It is paraben, sulfate, alcohol, cruelty, vegan, phthalate, and soy free. It isn't silicone free, and it does have that fungal acne comedone rating. Now let's get into my review. Now on day 1, I used my regular skin routine. That's nothing out of the ordinary, and my moisturizer to lock everything in. So I waited 15 minutes before I applied the sunscreen. Once I did apply the sunscreen, it took about 5 minutes to get this thing to rub in and to actually be wearable. Now what I mean by that, as you can see in the pictures here, around my hairline and my brows, it left a cast, and a really thick cast that it took a lot of work to try to get that to blend in and to just blend it out somehow. So I had to pat it quite a bit. I mean, not really blend at that point because it was drying up and it was starting to ball. And I had to pat it in to try to get it to smush in. And that was mostly about my hairlines. Also on my dry spots, it worked pretty fine the first day on my dry spots. The only problem that I had was that I think I rubbed too much around my nose area, trying to get everything to blend, because I started to get a little bit of itching. Now on my eyelids, there was some creasing on the top and the bottom of my eyelids, and that obviously affected my makeup for that day. Now the feel on the skin, just sitting on my skin that first day, it felt very thick, almost like you were wearing a mask, and not necessarily in a good way. It almost felt very locked in and hot. I don't want to say hot because I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you know when you have like a mask on that's made out of silicone and your skin underneath gets warm, that's what it felt like. That's the best way for me to explain and describe that feeling. Now to touch, after 15 minutes that first day, it felt very waxy and thick. And so it wasn't exactly a very good feeling for that day. However, it did feel very hydrating. So luckily it had all those features. So I'm sure in the winter months, this would be so much better to use. Now the look of it, it looked very lightly matte, and it might be because of my moisturizer. I feel I had a very good glowy day on that day. And so yeah, it did have some blurring at application, but it seemed to wear off as the day went on. After about 15 minutes, I saw some wear off of the blurring in my wrinkles, which I have my 11 here. You can see right there. On my forehead, of course, my nose and my cheeks here, I have large pores. Now the absorption was about 15 minutes. And the rest of the day, it pretty much felt the same. It felt like I had something on top of my skin for most of the day. There was no stinging in my eyes, or there was no runnage into it, and there was no stinging that I noticed. And the only itching or dryness that I felt that day was, as I said, around my nose from the itching. Under my foundation, I found that it sit very thick. It did grab my foundation, which was good, but it just felt very thick. I felt like I had a lot of stuff on my face. And I normally don't feel that way on a regular basis. Now, after a few, maybe an hour, I noticed that it would move my foundation, that because of that thickness, it was easy to just move around. If I scratched something, you could see I scratched and all the foundation and everything would be on my finger. So if you have a scratch, believe me, you're gonna be able to see that, and you're gonna remove your foundation. Now on day 2, I used no moisturizer because the day before, the thickness was just too much and very uncomfortable. So on day 2, I used no moisturizer, and I thought since it has so many beautiful moisturizing ingredients in it that maybe it would be enough. It had enough to just be an occlusive and moisturize my skin. So after using 1/4 teaspoon both days, I still had the same problems of blending around my hairline and my eyebrows. It was still just very thick, and I found it very difficult, and 5 minutes is too long to be applying a sunscreen, in my opinion. 30 seconds is the most I want. I don't want to be all day doing that. 15, I mean, imagine you do this for, 11 days, 10 days, and that's 50 minutes. That's almost an hour just applying the stuff. So anyways, let's get on. On day 2, it did stick a bit better onto my face with the foundation. It didn't move around as much because I didn't have that really thick layer that I had the day before of using moisturizer everywhere. And it actually did absorb much faster, whereas the first day it took 15 minutes to absorb. It took 5 minutes for me to absorb without moisturizer. As a dry person, I like to look dewy. I like to look moisturized and hydrated and have plump, beautiful skin that just looks glowy. So this didn't look very good to me, in my opinion, at all. I felt very dry. After an hour, I started to feel the tightness on my cheeks and around my mouth, and it just felt very uncomfortable. Also, later on, as you can see in this picture, I was outside with my friend, and she happened to mention that there was something on my neck. She asked me, I have my wrinkles, I'm 50. But she mentioned that I had something on my skin. So I looked and I took these pictures, and it was like little peeling on my neck. And I think it's from the dryness, to be honest, because it just wasn't, it was, I don't even know how to explain it. And it just felt very dry. It felt very uncomfortable. I had the little bumps everywhere. It wasn't bumps, it was that little peeling, but it wasn't like lines. It was just, it looked like sand almost on my skin. So that was horrible. And after the second day, I decided I would never use this on my neck ever again because, your neck doesn't have that much moisture. And so I have problems with my neck as it is. I have vitiligo. I have foundation on today, but I have vitiligo. And so I have spots of white everywhere. It's kind of hard to see, but on my wrists, maybe you can see also. Oh, it's kind of, let me see. Let me back up here. If you can see it, like on both my wrists. Pretty hard to see, but I have a big white spot there. And I have a spot there. I have spots everywhere from my vitiligo. But I also have very dry, it's very, very dry. And my neck just is very dry. And the last thing I want is anybody looking at my neck. It's not something that I'm proud of how it looks at all. So, no thank you. Even for this test, I'm not gonna do it again. Okay, so on the last day of my testing, I added only moisturizer to my spots where I knew I was dry the previous days. So basically my cheeks, around my mouth, and around my eyes a little bit, because I always do that there. And on the sides of my temples here, I tend to be really dry here, although I'm very oily there. I still had the same problem with the hairline, and the only way that I could blend it was by using a little bit of water. And so I used a little bit of water to dilute it in order to just get some of that whiteness, that thick, toothpastey looking whiteness off of my eyebrows and temples. On the skin, it felt like a mask, thick yet dry. How is that even possible? But that's how it felt, thick and dry. It had some blurring effect at the beginning, but then it wore off and you could see my pores again, and it looked like an orange on my nose and on my cheeks and a little bit on my forehead here. But the thing is that on this day, since I didn't use it I'm not exactly sure why, but on this day it sunk into my pores, and you could really see the pores, the little dots everywhere with moisturizer in it. And it just, at this point, I was just pretty much realizing that this just wasn't gonna work for me. On my check-in at the end of the day, it did feel a bit dry on the cheek area, but it wasn't itchy like it was the first day. And like I said, that might have been just because I was rubbing so much. And it might also be because I use moisturizer only on my driest areas. So my conclusion, if you want to know what I don't like about it, is that it has all these claims of antioxidants, and I'm not exactly sure if that even gets into your skin when it's actually on a sunscreen. I would think that just leave that for your serums. That's when you have the best chance. That's why you do your serums, you know, from lightest to thickest, or from what is more important to you. You use first. You don't do antioxidants at the last step after everything's locked in my opinion. So it probably doesn't even absorb in. I didn't like the sheer matte finish. I just don't think that it's very appealing to me that likes the dewy look. And since I have dry skin, I just think that it emphasized everything on my skin. Every line I just could see. It just wasn't at all for me. Even my go-to foundations weren't working. What I did like about it, I can't really even say what I really liked about it, to be honest. I didn't like the white cast. It made me, my skin, I have a light medium skin tone. I can't imagine somebody that is a full-on medium or somebody that's tan, what their skin would look like with this. I don't think that you can use it, to be honest, because that cast just doesn't go away. It's always there. Now, what I do like about it, I like that it's cruelty-free. I mean, that's good. I like that it, I like that it's almost over, that I don't have that much left to use, because I just cannot see myself throwing it away. So I am going to use it up because it is a product I paid for, and it was almost $50. So, I mean, my foundation cost, you know, that my Chanel foundation costs that much. I mean, geez, and that lasts forever because you just need a pump. And this lasts, what, 2 weeks? No, thank you. But anyway, would I use it again? If it was free, I would give it away. I mean, I just would. It's not for me. It's not for me. It's probably for somebody else that's younger, that has oily skin, or that has gorgeous, beautiful skin, and that doesn't have any issues and that can use it. And on that note, I think I'm gonna end this review. Now, I hope you liked this. Please give it a thumbs up. If you are over 50, please subscribe to my channel. And just remember, from me to you, you deserve to look and feel beautiful every day.